Not to be graphic, but it kind of felt like my baby was gonna fall out. Oh my gosh, I had a feeling I was gonna get emotional in this video. And that caused me to experience false labor. They did find something in my ultrasound that is a little bit concerning. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that it is already time for a second trimester recap. Guys, I'm currently in my third trimester and I feel like it was just a couple weeks ago when I filmed my first trimester recap. I just don't know where the time has gone. Let me just say that this second trimester was a very eventful trimester, and I have been waiting to film this video and to update you guys on all of the things that have happened. People often call the second trimester like the golden time of pregnancy, and before I went into my second trimester, I had very high expectations, and in some ways the second trimester delivered, but in other ways it's still pregnancy. It's still challenging. So I'm gonna give a week by week breakdown, just like I did in my first trimester, of all my symptoms and just everything that went down. All right, let's just get straight into it. I'm gonna be looking down here because my notes are down here of what I wrote each week. So week 13, I wrote, I am exhausted and it's frustrating because I want to nest, but I just keep napping. I got the flu, been feeling occasional flutters in my uterus. So to start feeling flutters as early as week 13, I was very lucky to start feeling that. And I remember the first feeling that I felt, I talked about it as well in my video that I filmed with my friend Laura, where we like had some girl talk and we talked a little bit about pregnancy. I felt like a swooshing feeling. It almost felt like I was underwater and I was like cupping the water and like pushing it past my skin. It felt like a movement. And that was the first flutters or like movements that I ever felt. And I just remember the joy of that. And that was really exciting to feel that my first week of my second trimester. Really good way to start off the second trimester. But also, as I said, that first week, week 13, the first week of the second trimester, I was still struggling with the first trimester fatigue. So as much as I was hoping that the second I entered my second trimester, my energy levels would increase, it was not an instant change. Week 14, everything was basically still the same as week 13, except I wrote that I started struggling with reflux and I was suspecting that it might be carbonated beverages. I ended up realizing that carbonated beverages were triggering reflux for me at that period of time, and I just had to stay away from anything carbonated, even carbonated water, because I was just getting so much reflux. Week 15 is kind of funny. I wrote, when I don't have a headache, I feel amazing, but I have had headaches off and on all week. Left side lower back pain still happens regularly. I think that's where my placenta might be. I have a proper bump now. So yeah, week 15, I'll put a photo on the screen. This is when I really noticed, okay, I have a proper bump now. If I wear something tight, people will probably be able to notice it and know that I'm pregnant and not just bloated. So that was really exciting. Also, I ended up talking to my midwife about if my lower back pain was coming from where my placenta was, because I had a couple people say maybe your placenta's in your back and that's why you're getting back pain, but that is a myth. So that is not true. My placenta is in my back, but it should not be causing you any back pain. The back pain is just from the stretching. Your actual tailbone moves during pregnancy to make more room for the baby. So that is what lower back pain is coming from. It should not be coming from your placenta. Also, the fact that I was having frequent headaches is kind of interesting because if you watched my old wives' tale video, there were very few old wives' tales that pointed to the fact that we were going to be having a boy. Most of our old wives' tales were actually in line with having a girl. But one of them that was correct about us having a boy was the frequent headaches. So I just found that interesting. Do you believe in that? I don't know if I believe in it. I don't know what old wives' tales to believe in, honestly, if any of them. Okay, week 16, things started changing a little bit. I wrote, headaches are less frequent. I still have lots of back pain though. feels like knots all over my back. The day before I hit 17 weeks, I got BraxtonHix. It felt like a tightness and a significant weight pushing down on my pelvic floor, like my baby was pushing down. So what happened is I went to a cafe with a friend and I ordered a coffee and a panini. And then they called me up to say that my coffee was ready. So I got up, and the second I got up, I just felt this tightness and this big weight. Like it felt like, not to be graphic, but it kind of felt like my baby was gonna fall out. So I waddled up to the counter and I got my coffee, and then I sat down. And once I sat down, it felt a little bit better. And then they called me up again to go and get my panini, and the exact same thing happened. And I ended up saying to my friend, like, hey, I don't know what's going on right now, but I just feel my stomach feels so tight, and I just feel like the heaviest weight, like resting in the very bottom of my pelvic floor. And she had to explain to me what BraxtonHix was, because I had no idea. I had never even heard of it. So I was 16 weeks and 6 days when I learnt what BraxtonHix was. Okay, so week 17 is definitely my favorite week so far, looking at these weeks. It makes me feel so nostalgic. This was such a special week. I'll tell you why. I wrote, my stomach is getting a lot firmer, and when I touch it, I feel harder parts and softer parts. Frequent flutters, and the night before I hit 18 weeks, I felt the baby kick, and so did Josh. Oh my gosh, I had a feeling I was going to get emotional in this video because I have been so quick to get emotional lately. But reading that and then just thinking about where I'm at now, and then remembering those first moments of like feeling firmer and softer bits, oh my goodness, it's so special. And what happened was Joshua and I were lying in bed. He was actually showing me funny disc golf videos. And then all of a sudden, I felt the first kick. And I knew immediately that it was a kick because it was loud and clear. It was loud and clear. And I was like, oh my gosh, pause the video. I think the baby just kicked. And then I put Josh's hand on my stomach, and then the baby kicked right away. And oh my goodness, he felt it, and it was just incredible. We were on cloud nine. We're like, oh my gosh, it's beginning. The kicks are starting. It was so cool, just going from like vague flutters of not being quite sure what that swooshing feeling is, not being quite sure what that little twitch was, to being like, that was a kick. That was really, really cool. And it was just really cool feeling my stomach go from just the whole thing kind of feeling the same, like the same amount of firmness, to feeling like, this part over here is a little bit harder than this part over here. I wonder if that's the baby. I wonder what that is. That was just such a cool milestone to hit in pregnancy. Okay, buckle up, because I wrote a lot for week 18. I wrote, I have had a couple of irritable days this week, including a day where I literally cried over spilt milk. Pre-existing stretch marks are becoming a little bit red. Insomnia is almost an every night thing. Flutters happen multiple times a day. My uterus feels tight at times. I've been craving sweet things more, especially mint chocolate flavors and oranges. Not together, lol. The feeling to nest has been quite strong too, and I have done a lot of organizing and decluttering, even with my fatigue from the insomnia. I don't know if this is pregnancy related, but I keep getting a sore throat and then it goes away. This happens all day long, and it's been for about a week and a half now. All right, a lot to unpack in that week. So I had some pre-existing stretch marks like on my hips and like a little bit in my lower belly, just from going through puberty and just some puberty weight gain. But they were from years and years ago, so they're like white, very blended into my skin. But then I started noticing this week that they were becoming slightly red. And I was like, I think I'm gonna get pregnancy stretch marks in the exact same spots where my puberty stretch marks were. And my whole pregnancy, I've been putting bio oil and shea butter on my skin every single night. So I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't get stretch marks, but at the same time, I was like, there is nothing that you can do to make 100% sure that you won't get stretch marks. And honestly, stretch marks, it's kind of just like a badge of honor to be like, yep, my body carried this baby, so I'm not mad about it. Also, the sore throat thing, I am convinced that that was a pregnancy symptom because, as you will hear in the following weeks, this lasted for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and I never got sick. It was just like my throat would get sore, and then 5 minutes later it wasn't sore anymore. And then like a couple hours later, all of a sudden my throat would feel sore again, and then it would go away. And this happened every single day for so many weeks. Spoiler alert, it's not happening anymore, but that was a really weird symptom, and I've never heard of any other pregnant women experiencing that. So if you have, I would be so curious to hear if you've experienced that, especially if you have an explanation for it, because that is a big question mark to me even now. Week 19, I wrote, first day of week 19, and I forgot about a student. I'm a singing teacher, by the way, so I go to students' houses and teach them, and I totally forgot that I had a student that day. I said, pregnancy brain is bad. I am also so tired. This fatigue feels the exact same as the first trimester, still having a sore throat. Yeah, I definitely was still struggling with fatigue quite frequently all the way up until week 19. I remember calling my midwife clinic and being like, hey, should I go for blood tests and see if there's something wrong with me? Why am I still feeling so fatigued? And then they just said, unfortunately, some women just stay fatigued. So I was just still crossing my fingers that my fatigue would go away. And yeah, that was forgetting about a student. Girl, that is just the start of pregnancy brain. That was just the start. Week 20, round ligament pain has started. There have been a few times this week that when I moved, suddenly it felt like a gunshot to the uterus. Irritable and frustrated. I still have an inconsistently sore throat. Throat hurts at random times, especially the left side of my throat. So yeah, that's when I first started having round ligament pain, and I haven't had an excessive amount of round ligament pain. I've heard of a lot of women who have it way worse, but I've definitely had my moments where like getting up or doing a stretch, the sudden movement, it just, oh my goodness, it hurts so bad. And it's just like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like a stabbing pain, like down, I want to say where your uterus is, but honestly, your uterus is so big in pregnancy. But before pregnancy, where your uterus is, down there, that's where the stabbing pain happens. Also, I mentioned feeling irritable and frustrated. I haven't actually been too irritable and frustrated this pregnancy, but there were a few weeks where I did notice I just had a smaller tolerance for annoying things. Week 21. My feet are starting to get sore from walking small distances. Even just grocery shopping hurts my feet. I'm feeling a little down for no reason. Yeah, so also I just want to say a lot of these notes are negative, but my pregnancy hasn't been negative. I just wasn't writing about the positive things as much in this list. Like, I was mostly writing about things my body was experiencing that were unpleasant, but there's so much that's so beautiful, like just carrying your baby and like getting excited about their arrival. But yeah, this list, I'm sorry it's so negative, but this is just focusing on the symptoms. So I think the reason my feet started hurting at 21 weeks is because at this point I traveled to New Zealand, which was a 14-hour flight, and I just feel like that elevated my symptoms so much, and I feel like I almost pushed my pregnancy symptoms ahead, like weeks ahead of where I was at. So yeah, my feet started hurting so much, swelling, and I think that 21 weeks is pretty early for that to start happening, but I really just think traveling just aggravated it. And I think the feeling down, I think part of it was hormonal, but also I think that part of it was just due to feeling frustrated because I had so much I wanted to do in New Zealand and experience, but my feet were hurting so bad. Luckily, I had my family with me, and my mom gave me a couple foot rubs, and people were taking good care of me. Week 22, sciatic nerve pain that comes on randomly and goes from my right lower back to the back of my knee. I also noticed my feet went up a whole shoe size. I've been crying a lot easier, but overall I feel really happy. I know the gender now. I have gotten significantly more clumsy. I am losing my balance all the time. LOL. Yeah, so I have had a little bit of sciatic nerve pain. I guess, yeah, it started around week 22. Again, I feel like traveling brought it on a little bit early. So that's when that started. Yeah, noticing that my feet went up a whole shoe size. So I had a pair of heels that I wore as a bridesmaid at my friend's wedding like 4 years ago. And I'm an adult, so I don't expect my feet to keep growing. So I packed them in my suitcase to wear when I got to New Zealand. And then when I put them on, my toes were hanging over the edge of the heel. And I was like, what the heck? So I was just like, how have my feet grown? Like, have the shoes shrunk or have my feet grown? How is this possible? And then I check my pregnancy app and I watch this like little video. I use the app What to Expect, and I watched the little video and they said, like literally the day after I experienced my feet going up a shoe size, the app said in the video that around this time you may notice that your feet start growing. And that just blew my mind. Also, finding out the gender was so exciting, so special. I have a vlog up of our gender reveal if you want to go watch that. That was one of the best days of my whole life, finding out our baby's gender. Yeah, that was a massive peak of pregnancy for us. Week 23. I've been experiencing some reflux. Every time I sit on an unsupported surface like a toilet or if I squat, then I feel a painful pressure around that area. My pregnancy brain is also so bad to the point where I forget what country I'm in, and I washed my hands before I peed the other day. My tailbone hurts a lot, especially when I get up from sitting down. My feet get sore and swell quickly. Okay, so you guys already knew about the swelling feet and my feet getting sore, but the new things is sitting down on the toilet or squatting and then just feeling pain down there. I think that my baby in particular really likes hanging out down low. If I'm not sitting on a chair that supports the entire of my sitting area, I feel like the extra weight that's being put down there just from gravity, accompanied by the baby's position down there, it just was not feeling good at that period of time. And then the pregnancy brain, oh my gosh, there were multiple times where I was like, am I in New Zealand or Canada? Wait, what city am I in? And I would have to remind myself, like, my brain was just so foggy. Again, I feel like it was just aggravated by the jet lag and traveling. It was a mess, you guys. It was a mess. Week 24. This has been my first week feeling hiccups, and they are so cute. I am peeing the most now that I have my entire pregnancy, both in the day and in the night. My tailbone is feeling a little bit better this week, and my feet haven't been quite as swollen, which leads me to think traveling aggravated my pregnancy symptoms. I also found out about my umbilical cord issues, and so I have to get another ultrasound. All right, let's talk about the happy things first. So the hiccups, oh my goodness. At this point, I'm back in Canada. I just started noticing that there'd be these it's almost like a tiny little pulse, but pretty consistently, and I just knew that that was my baby hiccuping. And oh my goodness, it is just so cute. It's so soft and like gentle. It's not like super hard or anything. It's just, You just know that they're having their little hiccups down there, and then I just would think, what have I eaten? What have I done to give this baby hiccups? But what it's from is that they start swallowing the amniotic fluid as a way to practice breathing, and they're not very good at it. So they give themselves the hiccups all the time, which is just so cute. I guess my tailbone was feeling a little bit better that week after traveling because I wasn't on the plane for as long anymore, and yeah, I guess it felt better for a little bit, but that didn't last very long. They did find something in my ultrasound that is a little bit concerning. So it's not like a massively concerning thing, but they did find that the umbilical cord is a bit to one side on my placenta, and ideally they want it to be right in the middle, because if it goes too far to one side, then it can restrict the baby's growth. The midwife told me though that she's not too worried about it. She said it wasn't like all the way to one side, so it's not like super concerning, but it's enough so that I am going to be going for another ultrasound in my third trimester just to make sure that the umbilical cord hasn't moved even further to one side, because apparently it can move on the placenta during pregnancy, which is pretty interesting. I had no idea. So I'm just hoping and praying that that goes well. You'll definitely hear about that in my third trimester recap, and I'll tell you guys exactly what they said and how that ultrasound went. So if you don't want to miss that update, make sure to click the notification bell. Even though it's like not ideal that they found that, though, I am really excited to get an ultrasound in my third trimester, and Josh is going to be there as well. I just cannot wait to see our little guy again. I'm excited to see him moving and how big he's gotten. And last time, the ultrasound technician only gave me like, I think it was 3 or 4 photos. But I'm gonna ask her this time, I'm gonna be brave, and I'm gonna ask her to give me like 6 or like even 8 if she can give me that many. I just want way more photos because this is probably gonna be my last ultrasound of this baby. I wish I could film in the ultrasounds, but they don't let you take photos or film. It's so annoying. Okay, week 25. I've been having some pretty bad heartburn in the evenings, but Tums are helping a lot. My acne has started flaring up again around my chin and upper lip. My bump is starting to make things a little bit difficult. Example, shaving and tying my shoes. Ain't that the truth? One thing I didn't even think about pregnancy is I just kind of thought when women say that it's difficult to tie their shoes or shave, I just kind of thought, well, can't you just like squish your stomach down so that you can see your legs and you can see properly to shave and you can put your shoes on? Like, can't you just squeeze it down? Guys, your uterus is hard as a rock. You cannot squeeze that thing down. Week 26. I have been feeling very teary and overwhelmed easily. My body is hurting a lot more. I've had back pain, tailbone pain, and pelvis pain. Getting out of bed is feeling a lot more strenuous. I have shorter stamina. This week I cleaned the house, and that caused me to experience false labor. Baby's movements are also drastically stronger and more frequent. Pregnancy brain is crazy. I feel like I'm Dory from Finding Nemo. I forget everything. Okay, so I definitely feel like the part of this that stands out is the part of false labor. So what happened? I was cleaning my house, but I was doing it very quickly and kind of frantically. And then my whole stomach went rock hard and I started having contractions, which is just nuts. I didn't realize at first that it was contractions. It just felt like I was having cramping, and it lasted probably like 10 to 15 minutes. And then I ended up sitting down. I just had like a voice in my head telling me that I needed to sit down and breathe. So I sat down and I just like rested. I put my feet up and I just like breathed, and my body went completely back to normal. My uterus softened up and the pain went away, but it was just a wild experience. And then I called my midwife the next day and I talked to her about it, and she said that it's very common for some women in pregnancy to give themselves an aggravated uterus during physical activity. And I guess that I'm one of those lucky women. So the physical activity that I was doing aggravated my uterus, which gave me extended BraxtonHix, because BraxtonHix should usually last like 10 to 30 seconds, but this lasted like 10 to 15 minutes. So yeah, it was extended BraxtonHix due to an aggravated uterus. But even though it was an unpleasant experience, I'm kind of grateful that it happened, because I feel like now I have a little bit of an insight to what early labor may feel like. I talked to some of my friends who have had babies, and I told them exactly what it felt like what the contractions felt like and everything. And they were like, that is spot on with what my early labor felt like. So at least now I have an idea of what to expect when I'm in labor. All right, you have journeyed with me thus far through the entire second trimester, and now we are up to the final week, week 27. I thought my pregnancy brain couldn't get any worse, but it seriously has. Today, I forgot my age, and then I opened up my Facebook to check when my birthday is. That was so bad, you guys, and I did that in front of a friend. It was just so embarrassing. I just felt like such an idiot. You can't help it. Your brain's not working. It's such a weird experience to not be able to count on your brain for like basic memory, and oh my gosh, so embarrassing. And now I'm putting it on the internet so that I can be even more embarrassed. Yay. Good idea, Alicia. I had a day of really bad leg cramps, and then I learned that it could be due to a calcium deficiency. And surely enough, once upping my calcium intake, it has improved. His kicks are so much stronger though. They even woke me up last night, and that is the best part. I love his movements. Oh my goodness, guys. It was so cute. I mean, at the time I was really tired because it was the middle of the night, but I'm so glad that happened because it's really cute. So what happened was I was having a dream, and in my dream I was talking to Josh, and all of a sudden in my dream I said to him, I'm so sorry I can't focus on this conversation anymore because I think my appendix is going to burst. And he was like, in my dream, he's like, why do you feel like your appendix is going to burst? And I was like, because the right side of my stomach is pulsing. And it's getting stronger and stronger, and I just feel like my appendix is just gonna erupt. And then he was like, does it hurt? And I said no. And he's like, well, then it can't be your appendix. And then I woke up, and then I realized I was lying on my right side, and I guess maybe our baby felt like he couldn't move properly because it was just like the bed and like gravity was holding him down. I don't really know. But he was like, boom, boom, boom. Live downtown, they said. It's walkable, they said. So what I did is I flipped over to my other side, and it stopped. He wasn't kicking as frantically anymore. So I guess that worked. But yeah, I was really surprised that he kicked me hard enough to wake me up, because even though his kicks are strong, they've never been like painful or so intense that I cannot ignore them even if I need to. So the fact that that little boy kicked me hard enough to wake me up from my sleep and even work his way into my dream, that is impressive. It didn't hurt, but it was just he made his presence very well known. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in next week's video. If there's any other videos that you would like to see from me or from me and my husband, do let us know. I love hearing your video ideas and giving you guys what you want. Love you. Bye.